Okay, what up ladies and gents, it's your favorite Asian robot right here, hopefully your favorite Darktide YouTuber, and today I am going to show you guys how to build the Crusher Zealot. Many of you guys have been asking me about this ever since seeing the video, the streams and all that. This build was actually made by my pal Yabs, and it functions very well. Now I use a slightly different variation of his, but it is undeniable, having seen it on stream and of course in the video that I posted, that this build really smacks, okay? Why use the Crusher at all? Well, the Crusher is a bit different from the Thunder Hammer. The Crusher is not a high damage weapon. As you can see, even a direct headshot is not going to do very much. Where the Crusher excels is in knocking things down and off their feet. Once you build up your impact scores, you can literally knock down hordes of anybody, anytime, anywhere. Alright, this is after building up full hammer blow. You can throw enemies to the ground anytime you like, and it is absolutely hilarious to be able to do that. Okay? You can even, if you so choose, throw down crushers, which is pretty fantastic. Like I said, sure, you don't really deal that much damage, but hey, smacking it down is pretty good. This works for maulers too. Alright, in case you needed to see that. And you can have quite a bit of fun just bashing around. So, as you can see, the Crusher is the weapon that stands in opposition to the Thunder Hammer. The Thunder Hammer is all about that single target big whack. Crusher is all about, I'm just gonna spam this and watch everybody go flying. So how do you build it? And what kind of build is best for the Crusher? Okay, let me camera vanish and let me go into the talent tree. Now I've got two variations of this, both of which are different, slightly different from Yabs' original. Yabs uses Fury of the Faithful, alright, with redoubled zeal. I use Chorus of Spiritual Fortitude with Banishing Light. Why? Because I just find that support abilities are too necessary. The first variation of the build, okay, has the following passives and stats. You've got your Disdain, Enemies Within, Enemies Without, Toughness Boost, Anoint in Blood, Purge the Unclean, Toughness, Restoring Faith, Immolation Grenade, Toughness, Melee, Move Speed, Until Death, Holy Revenant, Benediction, Toughness Boost, Toughness Damage Reduction, Chorus, Banishing Light. Okay, you've got Suppression, Toughness Damage Reduction, Melee Damage Boost, Punishment, Faithful Frenzy, Sustained Assault, Fate's Fortitude, giving you extra wounds, Health Boost, Martyr's Purpose, Martyrdom, and the two extensions of Martyrdom, Maniac and I Shall Not Fall. Okay. For the variation which I prefer to use, it has Thy Wrath Be Swift, sacrificing toughness up here, and punishment as well as suppression boost. Alright, this is so that I can get toughness damage reduction here, Dance of Death, and then Thy Wrath Be Swift. Okay, now, here's an explanation of the passives now that you get the overall picture. I'm going to go through the Thy Wrath Be Swift version because this one has a marginally higher win rate of 2%. So the final count came out to about 82%. It's pretty good. Disdain is the first passive where you will gain 5% increased damage on your next melee attack for each enemy hit. This generally works best in hordes. Enemies Within, Enemies Without will help you regenerate toughness while you're stuck in a horde, which you often will be, because you want to get into hordes. Anoint in Blood, this will give you increased range damage the closer you are to the target. Purge the Unclean will give you increased infested and unyielding enemy damage. Yeah. Restoring Faith, when you take damage, you heal 25% of that damage. Very useful in the field. You've got Immolation Grenades, which will help you deal with hordes, spawns, things like that. You've got Until Death, where if you take fatal damage, you are instead invulnerable for 5 seconds. This has a 2-minute cooldown. Holy Revenant will allow you to heal for the damage you deal during Until Death, up to a maximum of 25% max health. All right. Melee damage heals for 3 times the amount. Benediction grants 15% damage reduction to you and your allies in coherency for toughness only, not for health, but this is still very useful. Dance of Death will help you reduce spread and recoil for about 3 seconds on a successful dodge. This is pretty cool, but not really useful, not really that useful. What the main part of this is Thy Wrath Be Swift. Enemy melee attacks cannot stun you. This also, for some weird reason, applies to range attacks, which basically means that your Zealot becomes some unstunnable creature that can just charge freely into enemies. You can still dodge attacks, but even getting hit is not going to set you back, which is really useful because you need to get to grips with the enemy and start knocking them down. Okay, so Thy Wrath Be Swift is very useful for this. You've got Chorus of Spiritual Fortitude, Banishing Light here. Okay, come down. Chorus of Spiritual Fortitude, by the way, will send out a pulse every 0.8 seconds. With Banishing Light, it will also stun and stagger enemies within range of the pulse. And you can stun and stagger monstrosities on the first pulse and every other pulse after that. This includes Daemon Hosts, whatever else in the game. Even the Assassination boss gets stunned by this, so it's pretty useful. Each pulse will also restore toughness to your allies in coherency, and if your allies at full toughness, they gain Overshield. The Overshield goes up to 100 points of extra toughness and can help you deflect a sniper shot, Poxburster without ever touching your health. This is why it's so good. Now, the other thing about Chorus is that while you are pulsing Chorus, your allies, not you, but your allies have stun immunity and total invulnerability. You can save them from fire, you can save them from a lot of things. Don't forget to use your Chorus well. It will help. Okay, coming down here, Faithful Frenzy increases your melee attack speed by 10%. There is no way anybody would run without this. Sustained Assault gives you 4% extra melee damage for 5 seconds on hitting an enemy with a melee attack, alright? It stacks up to 5 times. You also have Fate's Fortitude, which gives you extra wounds. Okay. Martyr's Purpose, every time you take damage, you reduce the cooldown of your Chorus of Spiritual Fortitude. Martyrdom, each missing wound will grant you 8% melee damage, up to 7 missing wounds. I Shall Not Fall, Martyrdom grants you 5% toughness damage reduction per missing wound. And you've got Maniac, Martyrdom grants you 4% attack speed per missing wound. All of this basically helps you function as a very, very strong frontline tank. In fact, you are a stronger tank than the Hammer Zealot, although you are less of a damage dealer. Now, I still favor the Hammer Zealot build, don't get me wrong, but this thing is pretty brutal, and I cannot deny its effectiveness. Like I said, the win rate on this is really, really high. Now, what about gear? How do you build this with the perfect gear for, you know, smashing heads? Okay, let's get into the Crusher first. The Crusher is your main weapon in this build. It is your melee weapon of choice. It is a bit difficult to roll for, but that's okay. Damage as well as penetration are your primary stats. Crowd control is another primary stat. So these three are your primary stats. Try to get them as close to 80 as possible. Defenses is your next most important stat. You must roll above 70 for this. Why? It'll help you reduce your sprint costs. It helps you reduce your dodge distance. And primarily what you want is your dodge speed and dodge distance to be reduced. Crushers have the same number of dodges as the Thunder Hammer, but your dodge speed being increased by defenses is very important because you can dodge at very high speeds, allowing you to evade certain attacks faster than you would with certain other weapons. Okay, so that's why having a high defense is good. Sprint cost and push cost won't vary much, unfortunately. But the dodge distance can be minimized, all right, meaning that you have less of a dodge distance penalty, and your dodge speed increase is pretty good as well. Power output tends to be a bit of a dumb stat, but as long as you can roll above 60, you're okay. You don't really want to go below 60 because it would generally affect the blast radius a bit too much, and you do want a bit of blast radius on it so that you can, like, it doesn't deal damage in an AoE, but it does knock down characters in an AoE, and you really don't want this to be too small, okay? So do use power output when you can. Now, in terms of this, what you also need to understand is that there are certain blessings that are absolutely necessary. Now, there aren't very many blessings on the Skull Crusher, so getting tier 4s of both of these is pretty easy. Hammer Blow is excellent because this is what will allow you, after continuous attacks, to knock enemies down continuously. Skull Crusher, when you stagger an enemy, they will receive 4 stacks of additional plus 5% damage. This is effectively the same as, well, it's a bit different to Brittleness, but it will basically increase the damage that staggered enemies take, which is what makes this so good. It can help your entire team finish off enemies that you're busy knocking around with the Crusher. So these two blessings are excellent. In terms of your perks, however, what you want to get is Carapace Armored Enemies and Maniac. Okay, these two types of damage are the most helpful for your Crusher, and they will help you in the field. Now, in terms of your attack pattern, I'm actually going to go through this right now so that you guys understand it early. The Crusher has several attack patterns that you can use. Aside from just spamming, if you have to deal with hordes, a light attack, heavy attack, and then double light, okay? Or a light attack, heavy attack, light attack, and a heavy attack again can be used as your general melee combos. This is for dealing with hordes that are masked up enemies. If you need to deal with single targets, use a heavy attack and a light attack to do a double strike down. Okay, you can also use a power up, heavy attack, light attack, power up, heavy attack, light attack if you want to repeat this combo. Alright, this is your primary means of getting at an enemy's head and striking them down. Okay, you can also just, if you really want to, chain light attacks, which is hilarious, and also chain heavy attacks, which I sometimes do just for fun. I'll smash one head and then smash a few other heads like that. Okay, try to go for the head with this if you can. And that is it for the attack pattern. Also, I should probably tell you that you can, okay, use the push attack to deal quite a bit of extra damage for some reason to targets. All right, it tends to work very well. So you can use this to knock down targets. Like, let's say you're already hitting a target, I will just do something like that. All right, if I've got a horde coming in, I'll just do a quick push attack and send that target flying. So don't underestimate the push attack as well. It's pretty good on the Crusher. Okay, that is about it for the attack pattern. Let's talk about your ranged weapon. For your ranged weapon, what you're going to want to have in this build is the Cantrail Mark 9 combat shotgun. Now, you can actually use any other replacement for this, such as the revolver. If some of you like some other weapons like the bolt gun, up to you, but I prefer the combat shotgun. For my combat shotgun, full bore, no respite are the two blessings you are going to need. They up your damage quite well. Some people prefer to use their scatter shot and fletchet rounds. Genuinely up to you if you want to do that. Okay, I don't have fletchet, so I haven't used them, but go ahead and use them if you want. Perks wise, you only need flak armor. You don't really need anything else, so your perks don't really matter. Your blessings matter a lot more. In terms of stats, you want your damage and stopping power to be as high as possible. Why? These directly affect your damage overall. Ammo is another thing you want as high as possible so that you don't run out in the field. Okay? Stability just needs to be above 60, and mobility, anything above 70 is okay. You, in fact, can run anything above 60 and you'll still be okay. Mobility is not really that important, but if you desperately need to dodge with your shotgun out, having less reduced dodge distance can be pretty useful. All right, but the rest of it is not drastically affected by mobility at all, so you don't really need, like, you don't need 80 mobility. You can just go around. Anything above 60, I would recommend above 70, but anything above 60 is good enough. All right, just try to get your damage, stopping power, ammo as high as possible. These three are your priorities. These two don't really matter as much. Okay, that is about it for your combat shotgun and your ranged weapon. Other than that, the only thing you need to worry about are your Curios, and here is the combination of Curios that I found best for this build. 3 stamina, okay, with gunner resistance, toughness, regeneration, speed. Their third perk can be anything. And then I added 2 wound Curios. Okay, for my wound Curios, I went with stamina regeneration, gunner resistance, and combat ability regeneration. Okay, I did the same thing for both of these. The stamina regeneration will help you regenerate your stamina faster, duh. The damage resistance versus gunners will help save you against those gunners spamming fire. This applies to both the scab gunners and the dread gunners, but not the shotgunners, as far as I know. And the combat ability regeneration will help you cool down your cores of spiritual fortitude just a little bit faster. Okay, but if you don't want that and you still want to go for toughness regeneration, by all means, that's up to you. Go for it. I'm not going to stop you. Okay, it's genuinely your choice what you want to do with that. So roll however you feel. However, I've had a lot of success using this combination of Curios, so yeah, I'm just telling you what I'm doing, and this is what works for me. Okay, that is about it for Curios as well, and that brings us to the end of this full build. Now, the combat demonstration I'm not going to bother with because there's a video out, there's several streams out, you guys can check that out. You can see those videos where I played the Crusher, and you can have a look at those. Other than that, thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you enjoy my content, make sure you subscribe and set notifications to all. Don't forget to hit the like button as well to tell me that you really love my stuff. And that's all I ask of you. If you guys could hit the like button for me, I'd be super grateful. Thank you so much, guys. I'm sorry about not giving the individual thanks. Don't worry, those are coming back in December. Look forward to it. But for now, a blanket thank you across the board to all of our channel members, to all of the lovely people supporting our content with super chats, tips. Thank you so much for feeding my family. You have no idea how much it means to me. It genuinely means the world to me, so I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you guys so much. You guys are amazing. Individual thank yous will come back in December. I will literally write everything down if I have to and thank people individually if that's what it takes. Thank you so much. And may the Emperor protect you. All right? Let me know if you enjoy this build and hit that like button. One of the best ways to get my name out there. If you guys want tips about this build, ask on stream. Just come to my stream and just be like, AsianRobot, play the Crusher. If you ask in that exact voice, I will do it. Okay? All right. Catch you on the next one, folks. See you later.